In this wild, wonderful world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good whatever. Welcome to another episode in the soft and system side to sales, where we tackle a different subject every week. And we're on this team of leadership at the moment. And I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Jason Cooper, the sales experience expert. And today we're talking about how to leverage artificial intelligence. Hello, welcome back everyone, and welcome Jason to this. I find this a really interesting subject, artificial intelligence. Outside of being a big fan of Terminator, right? I love how we can use IT systems and software to really bring us along a journey and a digital transformation into this new world where we can leverage all these different tools to make better decisions, to create better outcomes down the road. So Jason, first question I want to ask you is, what have you come across in the world of AI? I know there's a big, a lot of noise about this new ChatGPT, but realistically, AI has been around for a pretty while now in business, right? A good real of time. So, what's your thoughts on how it applies today with sales?
Well, no, it's been but it's really coming to its own today. We've sorted out issues today, and I wish there's a bit of artificial intelligence. Within this, I think there's some exciting things happening in this world of intelligence to help streamline a resource for quicken things. So that comes into its own to know when they're really hot prospects there, as opposed to searching around the internet, finding your hot prospect, or you think there's a hot prospect. Artificial plug in to your CRM, but it will also search the internet to find out where there is a more target for you to go for, prospect for you to go for, a client for you to now marketing, which is now ready to buy or close.
Yeah. Jason, you're coming in a little bit unartificially intelligent at the moment. There's a delay in your signal, right? But just to summarize what I got from what you're talking about, that you can start using artificial intelligence to really go a bit above and beyond to find all these new prospects and help cater a message to deliver what they're looking for, right? And what I want to do, Jason, I want to break it down into a few different stages, right? So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we're talking about big data, right? Because we're talking about doing analysis on something more above and beyond what we can do ourselves, or much quicker than what myself or yourself or a few people could do in a short space of time, right? It gives you better information. The one thing I like about data, and again, I'm going to stress the importance of good data. You'll only have good information if you put good data into the system, right? So even if you're using AI, it doesn't matter. If you don't have good data coming in, it will give you the wrong results if it's not good data, right? So there's a few things that, well, I've been using AI for probably quite a number of years with different clients and how to best leverage things like predictive modeling and propensity modeling, where you've got predictive modeling is where you take all the data that you're putting in. You put in all this data, then your system will analyze it and help you show you your trends, which customers bought you, which messages were the best, what are your most important products, and then it helps you formulate where you should be going next. Okay. And it really helps streamline that process of understanding what your current data is telling you. But here's the thing, that's predictive modeling. That's a term used not just in sales, but it's used in many different sectors and maintenance and all the different areas of business, right? And in equipment, how you know when to predictively maintain your equipment so it doesn't break down, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of predictive modeling that's used. Where it's really coming along, Jason, next is a thing called propensity modeling, is where you can analyze all this data. And I'm going to use this word predict again, but you're going to be able to predict where your customers are going to be, what messages are going to like them, how are you going to target them, right? And then market to them, Jason. Because here's the thing, normal sales teams and sales, when you're doing campaigns, you try and target a specific audience, a cohort. That could be, say, you're talking large companies, that could be a 20,000 cohort of a certain group of customers, right? And you'll send the same message to them. So that's what companies do. But the problem with that, Jason, so say I'm going to use banking as an example here, right? If you're selling mortgages, you could easily, if one of those 20,000 people that you're marketing to, because again, not all systems talk together in a bank, Jason, you could have many of those people in that marketing campaign that just bought a mortgage from you, right? And that creates a really ununified voice to the customer. You know, you're selling them stuff that you've already sold them, right? That's not a really good brand message. So where this is becoming really, really powerful, Jason, is a thing called real-time interaction management, real time. So that means you can do campaigns to one person. You can do this instead of, you could have hundreds of thousands of customers, but this or Tim AI engine can market just to one individual, create a unique campaign to one person. And that's why I believe AI is going to be very powerful in sales.
Right, I think I've organised my bit of technology by moving around the house. Obviously, there's a little bit of technology issues today, but that generally what happens with doing these online streams. So the importance of AI now is people are more educated than they've ever been before in buying their products, in looking at the services that are out there than ever before. So they almost know what they're looking for. They know your company, they know your services. The key thing now is you have to do your due diligence about the companies, really understanding the structure of the company. Who are the key decision makers? Are they moving? Are they staying? So, how artificial intelligence can actually enable us, it will skim the internet, it will look for details about individuals, whether it's on social platforms or elsewhere, websites, and it'll give you the direct information that you require so you can cut down your research. So, the bigger the organizations is, the more challenging it actually is because you're using lots of different processes now. So if you can cut that down and do your due diligence in a lot less time before you meet the prospect, so you can have a good conversation with them about what they do, understanding their challenges a little bit more, understanding the architecture and structure of the company, so you can have a better conversation with them about their services. This is where artificial intelligence really comes into its own. But how can you do that to enable leaders to have that granular information, but how can you help your reps use and utilize that so they could be more successful? And as we know from a lot of research that is out there, the most successful people in sales are the ones that do their due diligence more. They know the company, they know the customer. But again, that just takes a huge amount of time. If you're looking at a small to medium-sized business, I think artificial intelligence is going to come into its own. It's just in its infancy stage with how it's working, but I think there's just so much more, so many more elements that we can use and utilize within this sphere. But I think on that side it's great, but I think the tools like of Gong and other tools that use a bit of artificial intelligence to summarize a call to make best use of how people are actually pitching to their clients. So all the data now is being recorded. So it picks up the nuances in how people are actually speaking, the buying signals and all of that. And that's really good for coaching. And that's going to pull out a lot of data as well for us leaders and leadership to make the calls, make the structure of the calls a lot more effective. So there's lots of different approaches behind using and utilizing this information that we've got at hand.
Yeah, and that's it, Jason. So there's multitude. So we've talked about predictive modeling, we've talked about propensity modeling, we've talked about ORTIM, we talked about improving what you say, right? When you go through those touch points with your potential customers. And then we've got the latest one, ChatGPT, that you can actually then use to actually help you write strong written assets for your customers. Anyway, from an opening email to either a cold or warm lead to like formulate a really good structured message that's really inviting and targeting a particular cohort of customers. And then all the way through, it can help you, even your assets on your website, your branding messages, everything. So we've nearly got the full synergistic approach covered with all the different tools. But here's the thing, Jason, as I keep saying, data, right? Big data. When you're talking about using data on the sort of reporting level to help you be better moving forward, right? Data is only as good as what you put in. Okay. So you'll have your CRM. You could have some AI platform feeding in and out of that to give you really good reporting structures. Because Jason, CRMs, the reporting elements are not that great. They're really good at just putting the information, working with the information, but you'll always end up having to buy a third-party tool for a reporting to get the best views out of it. But when you work with them effectively, Jason, and before I go any further, there's one point you said, there's a difference between small, medium, and large enterprise, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have different digital transformation roadmaps, right? So the big companies are really going to leverage this very, very quickly. Really, they have to adapt and adopt it. Otherwise, they could run the risk of getting left behind, especially in industries that are not just evolving, but where there's evolutions, but there's revolutions in some of these industries where things are moving at rapid pace. So those big, large organizations have no choice but to be early adopters. But the small to medium, they may have a little bit of time and there's a huge cost. But one thing I'd like to say, Jason, is like anything, you really have to understand your requirements, right? To leverage this back into the sales world, right? The different elements. Well, what is the first thing? If you're going to start adopting these technologies and platforms, what's your roadmap? What way are you going to do it? What's number one? What's going to help you maybe generate more leads, right? And if you have your own conversion ratios, what will be the biggest impact for its book in the short term? So then you can make more profits. And then you go, do you know what? What's phase 2 of my digital transformation roadmap? And then build and build. Don't be the early adopters from day one, because it's great to have this like all new and all singing and all dancing stuff. But the problem with that, Jason, you end up with something that you don't need and you spent a lot of money on it. Yeah. The big question is, what is the number one thing that my business needs today that will give me a return on investment that will help me grow, scale, and then go to phase 2 of what I want this to do?
So what you're actually saying is like the big corporates are really on it. They probably understand the process. But the smaller businesses, the SMEs, the companies, medium size, or even the startups that really have to think about what's the best use of their technology and how can they get the best return on investment from it by using it. Everyone's talking about artificial intelligence. There'll be companies out there falling over themselves going, I need it. But what do you need it for?
Mm.
Can you utilize this technology for the best effect? How can, as you said before in the past, is to strategize about it. Think about your process. How can you actually use it for the best purposes to make your job easier, to make it more structured, make it more formulated, but really understanding how it can benefit you, as opposed to getting on the bandwagon and go, well, we need this. Like going back 20 years, everyone wanted a website. No one really knew why they wanted a website and what was it going to do. Now we know that you need a website just for a business card, maybe for a bit of lead gen in there or whatever, but really to understand those processes and how it can use and utilize for your business. And it does make common sense to have this, but make sure that it fits your business and make sure it's a best approach for your business so you can get the best return on investment. I have regurgitated that a few times, but
it's worth repeating, Jason.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I'll tell you now, and the reason why I say it's very much worth repeating, and I've specifically with CRM systems, right? I've worked with sales teams in the past, right, that have got, I won't name any brands, right, because the software CRMs they can do whatever you want, they can do whatever you want, Jason, but can they do that small element of what you need a CRM to do work for you in a very good way, because they'll have different interfaces, they'll have different strong points and whatever, and they're special use categories, right? Because I've often worked with companies that spend too much time on the piece of software itself. And sometimes they're not the most simplest of software to use. The interface can be a bit clunky, Jason. So you end up spending too much time in these softwares and not enough time either analyzing data where the value add is, or the other value add is talking to people, right? Inputting data is only as good if you can do it quickly and then you can analyze it. When it becomes difficult, it loses its value very, very quickly. And I've often had to take people off their systems and then create a rough working model in Excel based on their requirements, their needs. And I often use an approach called the Moscow, the must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and won't-haves, right? And we break them down. And once we build the requirements over the course of a period of time, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, then we'll go, well, let's really build a very specific set of requirements that we're working very well with here, right? In the model, the rough and ready model. And then we go to the software. Does it do these things very well? If it does, fantastic. Only use those tools for now, or those elements of the software. Then when you get really good at that, then you can start to explore. Because what I like a very simple way to look at this, Jason, there's 2 parts of the journey in a very simple macro view. One is do things better, right? What are the things that you can do better that make you more productive, more efficient, more effective, right? Get them done first. And then when you've explored all those things, then you go from do things better to do better things. And that usually involves, let's relook at the software. All those could haves, right? So you start at the Moscow must have, should have, and then the could haves that, do you know what? These could be powerful once we get all the other things done. Can it do those could haves? And then you can start building phase 2. Do things better first, then do better things, innovate.
That's absolutely core. I love that. And I think that is definitely worth looking at it. And again, let's regurgitate what we've just said, because we're running at our time, and that's due to my challenges with technology today. My fault is to use and utilize your technology that's going to have the best effect on your business, wherever it is AI. And absolutely, AI is going to be the future and is the future now. Use it and utilize it, but make sure it can give you the best return on investment possible.
Yeah, brilliant. So on that note, Jason, as you said, as always, these these lives go so fast. To summarize it in one point, what's the first thing? You probably just said it 2 seconds ago, but
I just said it 2 seconds ago.
regurgitate it again.
Yeah, I think what I've just said is perfect. And what about yourself, Shay?
Well, I think going back to what I just said a few minutes ago, know what you need, right? Really build what's the number one choice for your unique circumstances, not the best in the world, your unique circumstances. Build a set of requirements before you go looking, and then build that transformation roadmap. So look,
Awesome.
thanks everyone for tuning in. Apologies for the technological issues earlier on. That's the joys of living in a technology world. If always and anyways, if you have any questions, please get in touch with myself and Jason. We're here to help. We love answering questions, and we look forward to hearing you. And see you again next week for another session in the soft and system side to sales. And thank you for joining us there. Really appreciate it.